It is good to be back, Jack.
April 8th, it's Wednesday, it's the Breaking and Entering Show, it's marketing news, it's live. We're live in New York City. Big show today, Gino, a lot to run through. We got some big guests. Joe Kress, CMO of Babylist, their first ever CMO. I would say Babylist is the best kept secret in brand right now, preparing for an IPO per the Wall Street Journal, allegedly. And then you got Sinan Dagley, he comes in, he is the ECD and partner at Butler. Is it Shine Stern or Stern Shine? I always mess up.
Shine Stern.
Butler Shine Stern and Partners to talk about a big win. Is it Kikkoman?
Yeah, we're gonna go with Kikkoman.
Kikkoman. It's the soy sauce. Everyone's seen it. It's 300 years old. The brand.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna make a joke later. If you're watching
joke?
now and you're watching later, you'll appreciate this. I'm gonna make a joke later. Are the brand guidelines written on a stone tablet?
Yep. Papyrus.
Yeah. And then Jamie Falkowski and Josh Rosenberg are the co-founders of Day One Agency, and they just launched a new offering, editorial and strategy for their clients.
Yes, they did. And I love Day One. They send like a good little like holiday thing every year, like orange juice, like mulled wine. They do like these nice little carefully packaged gifts.
It's
for
curated,
people.
if you will.
Yes.
Before we get into all that, we've got the 2-minute drill.
Wait, before we get into that, I got a trivia question. We got
Okay.
trivia tonight, Jack. We do these events every once in a while.
Yes.
So I need to practice a little bit.
Okay, good.
Are you ready?
All right, a little trivia
I only got
question.
one top of
Give
mind.
me an explosion, Ross. Gonna need
we gotta shorten that gap.
Let's shorten
That's
that
okay.
gap a little bit.
Which brand used the tagline, a CPG brand, used the tagline of "Bet you can't just eat one"?
Oh, fuck. I don't remember. I don't know. What is it?
Bet you can't just eat one.
Ross, would you like to answer?
He knows it.
Oh, did you already see it?
Yeah.
We'll give the people about 3 more seconds.
Put it in the chat. Bet
Put
you
it in the
can't just
chat.
eat one. What can you not just eat one of, Jack? You open this thing, you eat one, and it's gonna be Lay's.
Lay's.
There you
chips.
go.
Bet you just can't just eat
Bet you just
one.
can't maybe just not
Yep.
eat one.
All right. Well, that's
Alrighty.
the trivia question of the day. Let's get into the 2-minute drill. It's the biggest stories in marketing. 2 minutes, each topic. We run through it, rapid fire style. Let's get into it.
Jell-O, you have Jell-O-meter.
Jell-O-meter, Gino.
The Jell-O-meter. I saw this off Todd Kaplan's personal LinkedIn post here, Jack. So at stadiums, they measure volume with a decibel meter. Of
course.
Right? And fun fact for you, which was the loudest stadium game? Another trivia here.
Seattle Seahawks, Marshawn Lynch.
That was toppled by the Kansas City Chiefs game versus the Patriots in 2014 at a 142.2 decibel count, and the Chiefs ended up winning that game. The Jell-O-meter is not measuring decibels though. It's measuring energy. So they got. Do you want to explain what this Jell-O-meter is?
I think Todd Kaplan said it best in his LinkedIn post. He ended his post. He's the CMO of Kraft Heinz. Hashtag creativity, hashtag marketing, hashtag sports marketing, hashtag innovation. I think nothing sums that up better than Todd possibly could with those hashtags. But they work with Gut on this, the agency, and then their in-house crew, the kitchen. They piloted the Jell-O-meter at the New York Islanders game. So the idea here is we all know about like how Jell-O shakes.
Yep.
Another one I think they could consider airplanes. People always make that comparison.
Right.
Like going through turbulences, just think about being inside Jell-O. We remember the Jell-O prank on The Office. Any other cultural Jell-O moments you can recall?
No, you got them all, Jack.
So what do you think about this Jell-O-meter? Is it going to do anything for anyone?
They basically place it into a stadium, and then the more it jiggles, the more energy in the stadium. I think it's fun. I think what matters is where it's placed within the stadium. Because if you put it like next to somebody jumping around like really close, is that fair? Is that cheating?
Oh, are you getting into like the dynamics?
Yeah, I'm calling them out.
The Jell-O-meter. Well, I'm excited about the way that they activate within the stadiums. I think it's kind of like a funny thing if you're at a game and they go to like the Jell-O-meter cam.
Oh yeah.
Provided by Jell-O. Because we all know about how rigged when they do the get loud.
Right.
And it's obviously rigged, but I like the idea of kind of doing another different way of
coming off the heels of the NFL sponsorship as well. They're going to put that in a lot of NFL games. I could predict that.
Oh, nice. That's a good point. If you missed that, they're a sponsor. Kraft Heinz official condiment sponsor. Yep. So actually, I don't know because Jell-O's not a condiment.
Bad.
Whatever.
Come on,
All right.
Jack. Come on.
Next
don't poke
up,
holes.
Fernando Mendoza is the new Chief Financial Playmaker for U.S. Bank.
Run me through this,
Let's
Jack.
back up. Fernando Mendoza just won the college football championship. He was the quarterback for Indiana University. Fernando Mendoza has built a reputation around being a very straight edge, straight shooter. He has a LinkedIn page that people caught wind of that's kind of funny. He's like very much a professional, kind of like, if he wasn't playing football, he would be an accountant at Deloitte in a heartbeat. No offense to Deloitte accountants, but the fact is that U.S. Bank sees this and they kind of like partner with Fernando Mendoza. I've got a couple of notes here, but I'll let you react real quick.
No, I think it's just a great use of this character, this guy here for this. So go ahead, Jack. You got it.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn Athletes is kind of its own big trend right now. I follow a couple. A funny follow right now is Spencer Keith Jones. He's just like a bench warmer in the NBA. Oh, here we go.
Oh my goodness.
And
who is he?
He's an NBA player, went to Stanford, and so these players, I know for a fact. Actually, I don't know for a fact, but I speculate that a lot of them use like ghostwriters pretty much to maintain and manage their LinkedIn pages. To set up for a future outside of playing sports. So they do like these thought leadership posts, and they kind of do this is what this taught me about B2B sales, but like seriously.
Okay.
So U.S. Bank has also just announced that they're the official bank of the NFL.
That's right.
Same time, so they paired it up.
I don't know if Brooke Brown was behind this. She's the SVP, head of brand and creative at U.S. Bank, and she's been on the podcast before, and I just love this move. I want to give her a shout out, or her team a shout out if they're behind it. She mentioned in that podcast that they were working with Supergood in the past. That was a couple weeks ago, so just want to put that out there as well.
Cool, great. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's always hard if you're like a financial institution. They all kind of sponsor a lot of sporting events because you get some high net worth individuals at those games.
Yeah.
But it's always very hard to make it make sense or make it feel relevant. This is a good way to make it feel relevant. U.S. Bank gets a big one there.
That's right.
Next up, a very big shift in mood. KFC has a new campaign out, Gino.
It's called the Finger Lickin Machine, Jack, and this is a really fun one. This is made by High Dive New York, not Chicago. High Dive I know is from Chicago, but they have a New York office here. And these guys created a new ad here to promote its value box, which is a larger trend going on in these QSR categories of value. It's really important right now. However, the Colonel's the star of the show. We got him talking in front of the board of directors saying, you can't fit all this value in the box. And he goes on to a dancing spree. He gets jiggy with it. What about the song, Jack?
Well, yeah, the song, they made the song. I don't know if that's public information, but they made the song. Okay, good. Yeah, High Dive New York, they created it.
It's on Spotify.
It's on Spotify. You can watch it, listen to it now. The Colonel is different now. The Colonel went from being an old fart, kind of unable to move around, to now the Colonel is getting active, getting jiggy with it, as you say. How do you feel about that? Do you think people will care? Like a consumer is like, this isn't the Colonel Sanders I remember.
I hope not. I hope that, I don't know if the Colonel had that brand love ever. So I think they're playing around testing new things with this new Colonel until they land on something that people are obsessed with. I don't think they found that yet.
And you think about agency news. For the people that care, High Dive establishes a New York office for the KFC account. They get the KFC account, and that was the impetus. That was the impetus to open the account. So it's a campaign. It matters. It moves the needle for the High Dive crew. And KFC, obviously a big deal. They're going through a little bit of like a refresh, like you were saying, kind of centered around the Colonel, and then value. A little teaser. We're going to talk about what it's like to not talk about value and focus on quality with another fast food chain. But you'll have to wait until after this topic, Gino.
Yeah, this topic, we're going to talk about the trade desk, ladies and gentlemen. So get ready here. 3 executives dip out. They depart from the trade desk here. The 3 roles, one was the CMO, I believe, one was a comms person, and one was a product person here. So kind of external comms facing people left. What do we need to know, Jack?
The trade desk, it's an ongoing story of they're falling on hard times right now. The stock price is not performing well. They got into some beef with the holding companies, all of them really. It started with Publicis saying that we're not going to recommend the trade desk to our client partners. And so now you're in a situation where it's a little bit gloomy right now over in trade desk land. And it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back. Because you wonder, if you're the trade desk, do you go full heel? Do you say, F the agency partners, we're gonna work directly with the brands, transparency. That's kind of like the bigger thing, is a lot of anger. I don't know, anger is a strong word, but frustration around how fees in programmatic advertising are shared and how transparent it is?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm definitely not an expert, but could another option be if these holding companies aren't vibing with them, they're launching their own audits on the trade desk here? Like, is there options beyond the holding companies? Like, are there some mid-sized or maybe independent like media agencies that they can like actually work with besides large holding companies?
All that to say, I think the trade desk is ripe or prime for a little bit of like a repositioning.
Yes.
I think you're in a situation where like your stock price has fallen quite a bit, and it's like in sports, you know, it is like with this leadership team kind of departing, maybe you set up to clean the slate a little bit and get a fresh start and renew some relationships. That's all speculation.
And is that why they got rid of these people potentially, or why they
Well,
left?
they departed. I mean,
they departed.
Hashtag The Departed, great movie, but they left on their own accord. So so we'll see what happens. It's probably one of the bigger stories, one of the bigger storylines that's been consistent over the last few years. And the Adweek team, Kendra Barnett has been on it. So I would follow her.
Follow her.
Senior tech reporter. Last story, Gino, Five Guys.
Let's talk about something that I am an expert in, and that's burgers, Jack. So
Schellenberger.
That's right. This is the largest integrated campaign yet for the brand of Five Guys, made by Chemistry, independent agency. And this is all about like, I got a guy. You need something, I got a guy. This whole campaign is like, we are your burger guy here. And a couple stats for you guys. Just want to get some stats out there.
Stat time.
The beef costs have gone up 32% since 2023. Burger costs at restaurants gone up. The price has gone up 14% since 2023. So we're seeing an increase in price and cost for burgers here. So what are they focusing on, Jack?
They're focusing on quality. You know, I feel like there's only two things you can promote when you're a fast food chain, and it's either quality or it's value, right? Have you ever seen anything else?
There's good, fast, and cheap, Jack. Pick two.
Okay, that's good. Good, fast, and cheap.
Yep.
So Five Guys is going the quality route. I think that because of the fact that they are a higher cost option for fast food, but you do get a shit ton of fries when you order fries.
They sprinkle in a couple extra fries. It's a nice little add-on there in the bottom of the bag.
Do you like Five Guys?
I like the burger. I like the burger. I don't get it often because it is expensive, and like
this is.
But if I'm going to get a burger, I'm thinking Shake Shack or Five Guys if I want to like kind of really satisfy that.
They should have more airport locations. I think it would be a great airport food.
That's
something that's quick, and if you're in the airport, you know you want something that's not going to be like the most low quality for the flight that you're about to be on. Five Guys in airports. Think about it.
Think about it.
Also, when I go to an airport, money doesn't exist because I know everything costs so much. I'm already there. I'm already taking the flight.
Right.
Airports. Five Guys.
We forgot to talk about the fiasco. The Five Guys fiasco of 2026.
Where were you?
On February 18th, they had to issue an apology because they tried to do a buy one get one free deal. They're kind of focusing on that value. Let's make it a little bit cheaper here. They tried it out. People flocked to get that BOGO. Couldn't serve them all.
It's a supply,
couldn't serve them all.
It's a supply and demand case study like you read about Econ 101. Look it up. The demand it far exceeded the supply. They ended up, which was cool, they gave their employees, I think like they dispersed about $1 million in change in employee compensation, like bonuses, because they had to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
They're like,
sorry
we get it.
that.
Sorry to deal with it. Yep. We're getting the
spin around.
We're getting the spin around. Understood. Ellie is doing a great job. She's screaming at us. You can't hear her.
Love it.
At the top of her lungs. But the next story, the first story, probably the biggest story. Gino, what do we got?
All right, we're going to bring in Jill Kress here, CMO, first ever CMO of Babylist. I'm going to need to learn a little bit about Babylist in this conversation, Jack, but apparently people love it. You said it was the best kept secret in the brand world, and now Jill is coming on to get it out to the public-facing narrative. So let's bring her in. Jill Kress, welcome to the show.
Jill, how are you doing?
Hi, guys. I'm awesome. It's so fun to be here with you. A couple of, I think we're all a bunch of Chicago natives, so fun to be live with you.
I was going to say, St. Ignatius.
Oh, she went, okay.
St. Ignatius. I did my research, of Course. St. Ignatius, I was myself I went to Montini Catholic, Jill, so I am familiar.
how much pride do I have in that experience that I put it in my LinkedIn? So,
I am the same way. I think I still have some high school clubs. I think Spanish club vice president is still
That's pretty good.
in my LinkedIn. And people forget, little fun fact, John Mulaney, a graduate of St. Ignatius.
You look like John Mulaney, Jack.
Jill, thoughts on that?
Well, he is one of the most beloved Ignatius grads. We also had Bob Newhart. Maybe many of you guys are too young to know who Bob was, but yeah, there's a lot of icons that came out of that amazing institution. In Chicago, I mean, gosh, we could do a whole chat on the food situation there.
Yeah, we could. But speaking of icons, Jill Kress, another St. Ignatius alumni icon, and you're the first CMO at Babylist. Is that scary? Nobody has ever. You're walking on the moon for the first time for the comparison here. How does it feel to be the first CMO?
It's really exciting. I am no stranger to taking risks. And, one of the things that has been so exciting about my career is the opportunity to run at things that are a little bit unknown, things that need to take shape. And I can't think of a better company to do this with. As you said, Babylist is a little bit one of those best kept secrets. If you are in it, if you are a new parent, 40% of new parents trust Babylist. And that's pretty impressive. They've had 45% revenue growth last year, and it marks 8 consecutive years of profitability. And it's a brand that so many envy what they have built, which is this incredible trust. So it's a new role. The founder, Natalie Gordon, is amazing, and so excited to bring together all that Babylist does in the way of being this trusted guide for parents through the lens of the brand experience. And I'm running at it with lots of energy.
So I wanted to also congratulate you on the Wall Street Journal feature. That was an amazing piece there. And I'm just curious because it kind of seemed like there's going to be changes in the area of marketing. That's why they're bringing you on. The brand has done such a good job like penetrating the right market and growth on the lower funnel. Now it seems like you're going to be focusing on a more public narrative. First thing, is that correct? And second, what will that look like?
2-part question.
Yeah, I mean, how fun to have Patrick Coffey cover that in the Wall Street Journal. So yes, I mean, and kudos to the team at Babylist who landed that. So yeah, it's, I think, a moment of really scaling what the incredible team at Babylist has done. They are this incredibly trusted resource. And they have, one of the things that really excited me about Natalie and the team is they've always really focused on the customer. Who is this consumer and how do they really be a trusted partner to them? And that has started through the lens of content. So I think their mid-funnel and lower funnel game has been incredible. And it's one of those true flywheel businesses. If you are having a baby and you make a baby list and you invite everyone into that experience, when you then start to come into that life stage, you've already positively experienced what Babylist can do. And so I think that, lower funnel, mid funnel meets this incredible flywheel have really been part of the secret sauce at Babylist. And as they've gotten to know that customer, they seek to do more jobs for them. And so they've expanded into Babylist Health, really kind of building on that trusted relationship that they have with parents to provide and to be a resource. They do that through content. They launched a podcast last year. They're now starting to diversify into financial services to ensure that as you think about the financial health as your baby, kind of enters the world and continues to grow. And then they've got like another showroom launching this year. They had a first showroom in Beverly Hills and we're launching a showroom in Soho this year, which I'm so excited to be a part of. But when you start to think about a brand diversifying and doing more jobs for the parents that they serve, I think the importance of what is the brand identity and how does that brand start to show up cohesively through all of those experiences becomes really important. And I think that's why Natalie and the team are really excited to have a CMO, a first CMO in role to really scale all the amazing things that have already been done by the team at Babylist.
Yeah, the largest baby brand on TikTok.
How about that?
I mean, that to me that is I don't know, like the channel at the channel level, I think TikTok is such a powerful engine for growth. And especially for something that is like, it's a big life choice. I use TikTok to try to help me find a first date spot. So you think about like that is the most important thing in my life. I have a fake fairy tale
So
life.
you'll be in the baby list algorithm.
So that's like, it's for me, the biggest choice I make. I trust other people on TikTok that have experience with this. That's kind of how I think about TikTok. But Jill, you come over from H&R Block, a very different business strategy, maybe not as necessarily driven hardcore as much by a TikTok channel or social media. So how is that kind of switch for you? Of course, I know that you're excited about it, but in practicality, how does that switch for your mindset and how you approach this gig?
Love that question. Well, there's more parallels than you'd think to H&R Block and Babylist. But I think what you're getting at is the power of people like me in feeding the algorithm and making that content relatable. So in the world of taxes, it's a significantly less fun category, but we really worked to create fans in a category that's not really known for fandom. But we did that by tapping into life moments that are tax moments. So actually, a fun fact, people change the way that they do taxes about 4 times over the course of their life. And most of those changes are driven by a life stage moment. You get married, you buy a house, you have a baby. And so having a baby is a big life stage moment in taxes. And H&R Block actually was really breaking boundaries in how we thought about influencers and content as creative to introduce the H&R Block brand, which wasn't really relevant to Gen Z or millennials. So we did a lot of content on TikTok to kind of take this, like things that are scary about taxes, like out of that equation and build new fans. And so I'm no stranger to TikTok. I think what's really exciting is the opportunity that we have at Babylist to build on its incredible presence and the strength that it has on that platform as the biggest baby brand, to build on the guidance that they provide, to continue to entertain, to take the overwhelmingness of it all out of what it means to be a new parent. And so I think there are some parallels there. Taxes and parenting both can be overwhelming.
Yeah, big life events. That's that's fantastic.
I might ask a rather invasive question. You can, of course, not answer.
You don't have to answer, Joe.
I want to just get your viewpoint on internal agencies, external agencies, and how you prefer to operate and what you might see will work well at Babylist.
Yeah, I love that question. And what I would say is, I'm a little bit of a non-traditional marketer. I studied marketing. I aspired to be a CMO. It took me 20 years to get into marketing. I started my role in sales. I started my career in sales at MasterCard. And so I was always very commercially oriented. And so as I entered like my official roles in marketing, I was always about, well, how can we be more efficient? How do you embrace the constraints? How do you really maximize every dollar? So in my time, even at big Fortune 500 brands, I was really toggling this balance between the power that comes with big agency relationships with exploring new platforms. So there was a platform that I embraced, 13 years ago, I think when I was at MasterCard Tongle, which is a network of creators. And I've worked with them in all of the roles that I've been at. At H&R Block, they helped me kind of create capacity through content and like tapping into their network of creators, giving me like a team and a budget that was probably 3 times what I really had. Now I look at going into Babylist, which is incredibly efficient and nimble and is doing almost everything in-house. And I think there's a real opportunity to build on that, to ensure that we can think about some of these non-traditional partners, that we can explore what is it going to take to create more content across all of these verticals to engage with this audience. And so I'm excited about entering an environment which is scrappy and has the power, I think, to do great things with both in-house and bringing in potentially some out-of-house partners as I get to learn the landscape there.
Of course. Yeah, if you need anything, let us know.
Yeah, that Tongle sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Network of creators.
The other thing I wanted to ask about, just like from a professional standpoint, I think you spent a lot of time at MasterCard. You've been at Nat Geo, PayPal, and then most recently H&R Block. Advice to the marketer today. You've seen a lot. You started in sales, so you kind of have a good perspective. How has marketing changed? What's your advice to other maybe mid to senior level career marketers on how to navigate a constantly and rapidly changing landscape?
Great question, Jack.
Thanks.
I love it. I would say run at hard things, even if you don't feel confident. I mean, I took a lot of risks in my career. And I think, just going at things with a level of humility and resilience is really important. I think it's never been more important to be resilient as a marketer. We are living through this massive moment of disruption, but we've been through them before with the birth of, mobile and digital. And so I think, and now we have all this data that can give us really great signals as to what's working or not. And sometimes that's hard because you'll be really confident in a big bet and the data will tell you it's not working. And so resilient, you have to, have a hypothesis, go at it, and learn quickly and fail fast. But do big things. Don't be afraid to take risks, take big swings, aim for the fences, and be resilient.
Yeah, like to kind of go off that, the balance of art and science when it comes to making decisions in marketing, because sometimes maybe you don't have data when you're making a big bet, or there's minimal data about it, but you kind of have a feeling. How do you balance that? Looking at the data and helping that inform decisions, but also realizing that probably some of the biggest moments or biggest campaigns maybe of your career probably started from a gut instinct.
It's absolutely true. I mean, I think the gut is still incredibly important. And I think when we did something really crazy at H&R Block. We created a spoof on a reality TV series. It was called Responsibility Island. We had a British host, and it really walked through what was supposed to be a reality TV series where we brought some millennials in and they thought they were just going to party. The real flip on it was they couldn't get off the island until they learned how to do all these adulting tasks like doing your taxes. So that was pretty bold. I mean, H&R Block had content with scantily clad actors. So we built that in a writer's room during the writer's strike, where writers were anxious to work with big brands, and it felt bold and risky. And so you sanity check it, right? I mean, it's hard to kind of get the data on that. And it's funny now, I see other financial services kind of leaning into that same trend. So when you have something that feels big and bold, you have to empower your team. But when we were embarking on doing that, I did quite a few sanity checks with other marketers who have taken big risks to get a sense as to how would they think about something along those lines, and then making sure you give air cover to the team around you that's going at things like that and taking big bold swings.
Yeah, I can imagine that's almost like a big part of it too. You kind of have to almost shield the team from the pressure of we know it's a big swing, we know it's kind of like newfound territory, and it might be perceived as a risk, but ultimately you kind of, I imagine a big part of it is letting the team know and the people that are working on it, you're good, just focus on making the best work.
Exactly.
I love it.
Well, Jill, it seems like you might be ripe for a brand campaign in the future. If that is the case, please let us know, and we'll be excited to have you on again. Congratulations on being the first CMO of Babylist.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Yes, and hopefully we'll be well known for a brand that grows with families.
Love it. Yes. Love it. Thank you,
families.
Jill. Thank you so much. We'll see you in Chicago.
Love it. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Thank you.
That was Jill Kress, the CMO of Babylist, the first CMO in the company's history. If you missed it, if you're joining now, she talked to us about some cool stuff, being the first CMO. She's got an amazing career. She's one of the first people, it sounds like, at H&R Block during the writer's strike to take a big swing with the idea of a mini-series. That's right. A little social mini-series. So
excited to see the future of that brand. It's rocket fuel.
It's rocket fuel. We are not the target audience yet, Gino.
Not even close, Jack. All right, next story, Kikkoman. Kikkoman is a 300-plus-year-old brand.
Can you say, what was it?
300-plus-year-old brand.
What's the name of the brand?
Kikkoman. You've seen it. It's the soy sauce, Jack.
But we all know it.
You've known it. They have it in the Yankee Stadium. They have an ad there in the Yankee Stadium. We've seen it. And this brand is just refreshed itself as of this morning. And they have an ad agency, BSSP, that helped them with this. There's new product launches. This is a big bet from Kikkoman, and bringing on right now for you all is Sinan Dagli, ECD at BSSP, the agency behind it. Should we watch the
first
spot?
Yeah,
Sinan's shaking his
head.
head.
The audience can't see it, but Sinan is vehemently nodding his head.
Yes.
So let's watch the spot
You say
first. and then
vehemently?
Vehemently.
Okay.
Vehemently.
Barbecue sauce is open. You unleash something truly legendary. A barbecue feast so epic, stomachs are changed forever. And the glory lives on for months in the group chat. You unleash a flavor that cannot be contained. And experience the greatest dip ever dipped. The time has come to unleash legendary Kikkoman teriyaki barbecue sauce.
Yeah, that was
badass.
it. Sinan, we just watched it. Great to have you. Welcome to the show.
Great to see you both. How you doing, fellas?
Doing well. So let's hear it from you. What did we just watch? What just happened? What is the big news?
The big news. So Kikkoman, as you put very well, it's a Japanese heritage brand, right? 300 years, Shogun era Japan. This is probably one of the oldest brands in the world. And when we're talking about heritage, we're talking about lore too, like samurai culture, incredible craft. So when Kikkoman came to us, one of the sort of reasons to maybe rethink a little bit was when you look at the sort of brand awareness. I mean, this bottle, shout out to this hat, by the way. Ellie thought it was fire, by the way. This bottle is actually at MoMA as a permanent piece, so it's as iconic as anything. But when you look at the sort of maybe the younger generation, how they're seeing Kikkoman, we needed to reframe ourselves a little bit for the younger generation. So the repositioning and the line Unleash Legendary is all targeted towards Gen Z audience. And when you think about Gen Z, it's, Japanese craftsmanship is already admired. Competitors are trying to fake heritage, but we got the real thing.
Yeah.
You got the real thing. I guess my first question is, like, when you got the brief, which was probably to talk to Gen Z, show them that this is legit, whatever that might have been, like, how do you decide what to protect versus to reinvent for this heritage brand?
Right. So when you think about Gen Z audience, you can't shoehorn, and authenticity is key. So when you think about Kikkoman, it's as authentic as any brand. So we wanted to sort of protect our heritage and the lore, and then bring it into modernity, and then reframe it. And
What were some of those things though? Like, what were, like, we can't change the logo, obviously, or some of the, like what
Right.
were those,
And
like,
we
no-fly
wouldn't,
zones?
right? Yeah, and when you think about the sort of craftsmanship of how soy sauce, but then also the teriyaki sauce is how it's made. Craftsmanship is incredibly important. So thinking about how we're communicating that was key. But then in terms of protection, obviously the Japanese
Kikkoman
heritage is everything. So we have to protect that. And then when you think about what we need to change is how we show up. And then the new portfolio with the bottles, teriyaki sauces, that's how we're kind of shifting the aperture a little.
Yeah, I mean, it was when I watched it, the actual spot, it's one of those, like when you watch Ratatouille and then you're hungry because they make the food feel very delectable. That's kind of
When he puts the cheese
feeling.
and the berry together at once and the sparks fly. It's
Yeah.
an animation.
Right.
It's an animation.
It's an animation.
It made me hungry.
And it's cool that, like, so I am curious, I don't know if you know the answer to this, Sinan, but, like, has Kikkoman done anything similar to this in the past, of like a big kind of like brand refresh or new kind of positioning? Not necessarily new positioning, but just like a campaign.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like there are marginal shifts, and then there's a shift like this. So this is a big shift. And it's especially how we come out. Like when you think about coming out and doing a full anime spot for a CPG brand. And I'm also very happy to hear that you thought this had taste appeal, because when you think about CPG, you got to show the taste appeal, the cheese, and sort of all of that.
That was a glaze. That was a glaze.
Thank you very much. But when you look at anime, there's actually, we looked at on YouTube, hundreds of clips of food that was done in anime style with millions of views. it actually has it's got an unlock. When you animate the food in this sort of style, it actually translates as if it's real. And then when you think about Gen Z, 50% of Gen Z watches anime weekly. So this is an absolutely the right place to play and communicate, the new Kikkoman, if you will.
Yeah, I mean it's the way in. I guess for you all, I imagine there was like a light bulb moment where, because it's a 300-year-old brand, how do we make it feel modern? And I think like it almost feels like the only choice is to bring something like anime in, which, to your point, 50% of Gen Z watches anime weekly, and a lot of anime is based around very old school, what you describe as Shogun era of that culture. So for you all, was that a light bulb moment to bring those two together, or was it something that maybe you're trying a lot of different things, you want to make sure that what you're doing works?
We felt immediately connected to that, but we didn't want to just do, because a lot of brands are doing different anime, different styles, but we felt like we had the real right and the credit to be able to do it. Authenticity was critical for us, so we brought in collaborators, Japanese animators, illustrators. We have the voice is actually Christopher Sabat. He is known for voicing a lot of Dragon Ball Z characters. And that authenticity was key, right? Like, we're an authentic brand. We have to show authentically, and in every little thing that we do, we have to sort of be, paying homage, if you will.
So crafted. So
100%.
handcrafted, real animators, real people that know this stuff, and you can kind of tell. I mean, it does feel very.
I was just taking notes from what you guys were talking about
Nice.
over there. The ad tasted good. The ad tasted good. I wrote that down. I want to make sure everybody knows that.
The ad tasted good. I have a joke, Sinan, I would like to.
Oh, you've been excited about this.
And
then I'm going to ask about how we
Did you
got
write
here.
this last night?
Actually, one second. Time out. Sorry, Sinan, we're going to do a quick time out.
Well, I think this is like their first project with them.
Okay.
And like this is like the reveal of that, so I want to understand how they won this, if it is a project or AOR. But you really can't bring up AOR because
you don't want, because it's going to put him in a tough spot.
Yeah. So I'll probably talk about like what's the nature of the relationship, pitch process. Oh, how is being independent make it better than
of course,
those questions.
Okay, great. All right, Sinan, we're back in. Time in. My joke was that. Listen, it's a 300-year-old brand. Were the brand guidelines written on a stone tablet?
Very good. I'll give it a 5 out of 10 on that one. We can workshop that more.
That was fire.
That was fire.
Brand guidelines written on a stone tablet.
If you look at, to a degree, if there's actually on Kikkoman's website, on like the sort of about page, it is like, it goes into tablet level stuff, that like the lore of the brand and how it started.
Yeah.
It actually is. But in terms of like the typography and the, whatever, your CMYK colors, that's not on a tablet.
Got it. Yeah. Hey, there's a history and there's a legacy, and we got to respect that. Gino, you can ask now.
Sinan, how did you guys get this project, or what's the nature of the relationship with the brand? How did you guys end up here?
So I'm absolutely proud and honored to be part of Kikkoman's next chapter, and as us as an agency, as BSSP. So we are the AOR. So we're pushing, we'll be pushing Kikkoman to the next chapter. We're very proud of that. And the way it sort of came to be, Kikkoman is actually headquartered in San Francisco, the US headquarters. So we had some connections there, and we were able to sort of, through that connection, get into the pitch process. And the rest of it is kind of your typical pitch. But I'll give you the little hot nugget here. It's like, this was the strategy, right? Like, this is the strategy that won it. So
I like it.
So you pitched the strategy, and they liked it so much they said, let's have you help us usher in this.
Did you have to make the whole thing for them beforehand?
I mean, the little pieces in, the research for sure, and shout out to the strategy team, Jake and Adrian definitely cooked on this one, and they had a lot of good nuggets. And then we definitely, when we're like looking at pitches, like we kind of try to look at it less like asset building, but like a brand building.
Yeah.
So we're like looking at it's like 5 years ahead, like what kind of world can we bring with Unleash Legendary? So that was kind of a whole sort of spectrum.
Yeah, because in a situation like this where you have the opportunity for something as significant as like an AOR kind of partnership, you kind of do it. You have to be thinking, and you kind of have to create the world almost, right?
Right. And one of the obviously incredible things about our agency is also we have a media department. So this is a fully integrated offering. So we're doing media analytics, full strategy, and creative for Kikkoman. So
Congratulations.
That's huge. Well, one of these.
They're based. The U.S. is based in San Francisco. BSSP is based in Sausalito.
Well, I was going to ask if was there a little bit of, because of the office that you all have on Sausalito, on the bay, is that a little bit of like a recruitment tool almost? People get excited about that.
Well,
I would. We've been there.
You tell us.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah,
and it's good
it
for,
works.
employee
Oh my
recruiting
God.
too. It's like everybody go check out their their office.
Take a look. I mean,
We're
right on the
keeping
bay.
keeping it salty. Yeah.
Keeping it salty.
Keep
Stay
it
salty.
Stay salty, Sausalito.
So
Well,
so excited for you all. Jack,
yeah,
you
no,
wanna-
and
you wanna
that's
say
all
something?
I got. I had nothing to say.
Yeah.
I was actually going to do
Do it.
You got any more questions?
No,
Gino?
I'm good. Any questions for us, Sinan?
No, you guys are crushing it. We love watching you all, and thanks for having me.
Well,
Incredible.
thank you for coming on. Congrats to the whole team. I know it's early on the
Absolutely.
West Coast, so thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
Tell everyone we said hello,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah,
congrats on the
we'll
new
do.
work.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Sinan.
Thank you.
Boom, that was Sinan.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Good dude.
Yes.
The ad tasted good.
That is your one-liner for that?
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. Absolutely.
There's something about, I don't watch anime as much, but it is big enough for me to be familiar with the fact that a lot of people do.
Have you watched Studio Ghibli? I believe it's pronounced. Is that?
I remember when all the AI was coming out. Ghibli?
Ghibli? Yeah, like Howl's Moving Castle. What's the famous one where they eat all the food in it? It's got all the food.
Ross?
I'm not sure about that, but Princess Mononoke is a good one.
Okay, cool. Jonathan? John?
What's the one? Spirited Away. Thank you,
Spirited
Jonathan.
Away. Jonathan's
Jonathan's
shout out.
first day in the office,
Jonathan's
just
first day
taking
in the
over.
office. Quick shout.
Just want to give it around.
It's
But
amazing.
the food looks so good in that. That's
It
why I
does.
bring that up.
It does. You know what else is good?
What's good,
A
Jack?
new agency offering.
Yes,
I've
sir.
always said that. It is appetizing and it is exciting, and we've got a special one, exciting kind of story here, Gino. Can you maybe dive in a little bit more?
Josh and Jamie are co-founders of Day One Agency, and they are a fantastic agency. I've known them, I think, for like their social work, some creative work as well, really good PR work. But today they're launching a new offering. It's an editorial arm of Day One Agency called Side Project. So we got them to come on and talk about editorial. Jack, it'll be good for you to bring up like how every company now is kind of like a media company.
Yeah, new
know,
media,
and
hashtag new media.
And they can help with that.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear, in their words, what does it all mean? How does this change things? You also hear about a lot of agencies are coming up with new offerings or kind of like announcing existing offerings to be able to offer more for clients when they come in the door.
Yeah.
That's what we always talk about, and people kind of repeat this line of solving business challenges for clients. Well, that can include a lot of different things, especially in today's day and age with media fragmentation. Yeah. So we're going to talk with the duo here, Josh and Jamie from Day One Agency. Can we bring them in? Ross,
Are we
here
good?
they are. Yes. Welcome to the show, Josh and Jamie.
What's up, guys? What's up? Good to see you all again. Our ties today.
We wore our ties. First question for you, Josh. Are you one of those people that wears the same thing all the time with the black shirt?
It's navy, and no, but I usually am in a navy or a black something. But I'm
Not a good
guilty
look
of
for
that.
you,
I wear-
Jack.
Are you?
I wear a
You're,
black t-shirt every day, so yeah. I'm
okay.
guilty.
Jamie's the black
Yep.
t-shirt. You
He's-
can only
he's
have.
the
You can't
CCO.
both. You couldn't both be wearing the same thing every day. I feel like.
That's also why
happens a lot.
Jamie has a gray shirt on over it.
Got it. Yeah, he's in his uniform.
Everybody looks good today, and the offering looks good as well. So you like that transition?
that was good.
So in your words, whoever wants to take it, what is going on? What is the news people need to know about from you all?
Yeah, I can go first. So yeah, we launched Side Projects, which is a side project of ours. We've always really been invested in editorial here at the agency. We've hired a lot of former journalists and former writers here. We really believe the editorial perspective is so important to helping a brand see through the world, and as the world gets more complicated, and also to have an editorial approach when trying to reach the consumer, really understanding the audience, understanding the platform and the surface of where the brand shows up. So we've always had that approach, and now more and more we've sort of seen that clients are actually asking for that. So we've developed the service offering probably over the last 18 months, leveraging two of our long-term employees here who have led that, Eli Williams and Clara Malley, and they really led a lot of our editorial, our podcast over time, and we're launching it as side projects as of yesterday.
So Jamie, what will that look like in execution-wise, or what can a client that is working with side projects expect in terms of what they'll be getting?
It's sort of two parts. So there is a editorial forward part. They're going to have their own unique website, newsletter, place in which they have really a carved out editorial voice from day one, a chance for them to, I think, go a little slower and a little bit deeper on what they're seeing in like a macro sense and what's kind of happening in the world. Also launching their first print piece, which will be available only physically. It will not be available digitally. So that'll come out. It's really focused on the idea of brand world, and I think understanding and digging into how brand marketers can be pushing, I think, how they show up. But from a service perspective, there's a few different ways that it's already kind of taken shape. I mean, Josh mentioned we've been working on this for 18 months. We have done some projects with Eli and Clara really leading the way. One way in which they're doing it is bringing some of their community that's been on the podcast and running workshops and different sort of in-person breakouts and sessions for people to get to understand and get closer to the voices that are really shaping cultural conversation. And second is really using that editorial lens to just go a little bit deeper on a subject. There's so much noise. I mean, I'm sure you guys are like me. I subscribe to dozens and dozens of Substacks, and like really filtering through what is actually important takes time. And I think writing is thinking, and it gives you a chance to get sharper on things. And these two they're really interesting paired together. They're very complementary, but they've really focused on how to use editorial and writing as a way to really make sense of what's actually happening in creative.
I mean, I think we should address like what's going on in the industry and in culture where this makes it so relevant to launch this now. What are some of those factors at play that make this editorial offering perfect?
Yeah, I think there is such a density of information out there, and there is so much, and the reality is it can be very challenging to take it all in and to really understand what is important, what is just an actual trend or signal, and what's just noise. And by offering this now, it allows for a brand marketer or a leader at a company to get a fresh and different perspective on what actually truly is moving the needle for their consumer.
I'll just add to that also just the human approach to it all, and this idea of having an editor, especially in the world where there is much more proliferation of AI and where a lot of our content does start to look the same. I think helping a brand to break through by truly understanding the consumer and the audience, and that editorial approach, I think, is one of the reasons why we really wanted to launch it now.
Yeah, the idea, everyone is a media company. That is like a classic line that you probably have seen a lot of recently, and it feels like you're leaning into that approach. So I guess first off, do you subscribe to that idea? Like, if you are a company, you should also be thinking of yourselves as a media company, and just your reaction to all that.
I mean, I think the best brands in social act like media companies, where they understand the audience, they understand the value that they're bringing, and they understand, which Jamie also talks about all the time, the idea of how to connect sort of the brand truth to the fan truth. And I think that is what a true successful brand in 2026 understands, which is frankly a lot of times that editorial approach.
Yeah, I think we're also seeing it's very common for a very traditional editorial company to launch an agency, to take in their understanding of their audience or the space that they operate in the world, and to offer a service-minded way in which to engage with brands and partners beyond just like insertion. And it was always kind of fun for us to think about, like, what would that look like for us if we actually took a lot of the editorial and work that we've been doing for years. This is the fifth running print piece we've done. The Eli, Clara, and Trey have been hosting the podcast for a couple of years. How do we really give that its own walls and a chance to feel complementary to the agency service business, but to offer something completely different?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the niche, the idea of digging into the niche. And I think like this feels like the next layer beyond it. Everyone's saying you got to have a good social media presence. If you're any sort of B2B company, like you need to be posting on LinkedIn or have some sort of voice. This feels like the next layer of now you're actually curating and creating your own things for a very specific niche audience. And obviously you can imagine like the downstream of how that might impact new clients and all that. But for the crew, how important is it to have it be like its own arm, its own branding, like its own thing? Like there might be some people that end up subscribing to this newsletter that don't even realize that it's a part of day one.
Which I think is totally fine and good, and I think that's okay from our perspective. I think we're trying to carve this out as its own lane so we can create different services and operate differently for potentially new clients, but also for some of our existing clients where this becomes a service add-on to some of the work we're already doing for them. So I think we're definitely okay for it not to be totally associated with day one, frankly, but really almost like our own side project, literally.
Yeah, I love that. And then for you all, I feel like Day One has done a great job of being an agency that helps brands being actually like in culture and being in tune. Anytime you're partnering with a Casey Lewis to get Gen Alpha insights, it's kind of a good sign that like, okay, this agency kind of knows what they're doing. Casey Lewis, of course, Substack writer for After School, an incredible Gen Alpha and Gen Z newsletter on Substack. So for you both, whoever wants to take this, what do you think is the biggest challenges for brands right now that are trying to get involved in the cultural conversations?
Good question, Jack.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's easy to think the way to do it is to latch on or to borrow from a cultural conversation that's happening. I think over the last 5 or 6 years, we've seen since 2020, when every brand kind of got into TikTok maybe a little bit late, and there was like a real ease in sort of borrowing from trends and joining into a conversation. I get why we all did it. It worked. It was an easy way to get scale and get engagement. I think we're seeing in the last year and a half, like a big swing and change away from that. What are you adding to a cultural conversation versus what are you just kind of borrowing and taking from it? And it's really where I think something like side projects is so valuable, because it's going to go deeper than the surface. It's going to go beyond just what's sort of happening in a singular FYP and try to dig into, bigger questions like what is really moving the needle in dating for Gen Z? What is happening in sports? Like what really are the swings in music fandom? And I think understanding that beyond just a 60-second, TikTok takes time. It takes a little bit of deeper diving into an idea to really get it. And that's when I think a brand can really break through, when they've invested in and show that they care about the things that their fan cares about. That's really where success starts to come to play.
I will say the 60-second TikTok is probably primed more so for giving advertising news, I would say, on a daily basis.
You guys
would be
great.
That would be.
No shade. I love your 60 seconds.
I know. No, I'm messing with you.
That's also because you are doing something totally different, which is awesome, frankly.
Yeah, but I get exactly what you're saying, because I feel like you get into a certain algorithm and you get a lot of information at a top level, and you get like maybe an insight and a half. And a lot of times when it's the same trend, you're hearing the same thing kind of repeated over and over, and then until that just becomes like people's realities. So I understand, I think there is a ton of value to go deep on specific things, Gino.
Yeah, I agree, Jack. I gotta subscribe. I'm gonna subscribe to this one because the side projects one. Ross, you had a screenshot of it. Can we pull that up if that's possible? It's going to be covering how advertising is shaping the cultural landscape online and off, good and bad. So it's a weekly edition plus a monthly long read. I just want to let you guys know that I'm subscribing, and then I have to do an apology later. You let me know when it's a good time to do an apology to Josh.
Okay, sounds good. We will hold off on the apology.
Okay, cool.
Stick around later in the show for Gino's official apology to Josh. I think, Jamie, you said something interesting about the latching on to cultural conversations versus like kind of creating your own or having something that's owned by the brand. Because I think for a long time, the main metric for social media teams, for brands was like, okay, let's get reach. Let's see how much reach we can get. And it's very easy to get reach when you're just like latching onto a trend. Do you see that brands and marketers that you're working with are kind of smartening up to the idea that maybe doesn't move the needle as much as a deeper, more influential piece of work that might not get that same reach?
I think slowly but surely you're seeing that. I mean, Josh and I talk all the time about, how little scale really matters today, and it is more about that real engagement and real connection. And every case study video you watch has a work out there with 8 billion impressions, over and over. And what does it actually mean? But who's buying, who's investing, who's becoming a real fan? As we all see and experience as different versions of the internet and of culture, I think it is important to have that real connection that can last. You're looking more for, yes, you want to be relevant today, but we talk a lot about how you're building that long-term legacy and connection.
So is there a metric, if there's one, that you kind of look at? I'm sure that's a nuanced question, and totally
there's a lot of
depends.
metrics to look at, and it based on where it is and how people are engaging. I think the more you're creating stuff that becomes currency for other people to share, to bring into their own conversations, so much of that happens kind of outside of public spaces. So, I think the share is incredible. If I'm making something that, Gino, you want to share with Jack, and it leads into a way in which you guys can have a conversation away from our feed, away from, public space, in a DM, in a group chat, whatever, those often are the biggest drivers of that long-lasting connection.
I just want to play devil's advocate here. Like, there are some brands and different goals where they do want to scale, which is mass awareness. Like, whether it be a brand that everybody like knows and love, like a Chipotle, they might want to get that thing out there to the broader world. So, like, what can we say? Like, what is is it important, I guess, to understand what the client needs first and foremost?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, Chipotle is a great example. We just recently did their second year on the tatted like a Chipotle bag activation, which, is a very small insight. It's like not every Chipotle fan has a tattoo. It's maybe represents a small minority of the fandom, but it felt really real for that brand. The old memes of like tatted like a Chipotle bag, like there was like a real cultural connection to that felt right. He leaned into a subculture with the Friday the 13th thing, and it's been a very, very successful moment for the brand. It's really driven high value in digital sales and a lot of social engagement. For a brand like that, yes, I think the PR mentions and the coverage around it is important, but seeing that impact on the bottom line is like, you really can't beat that.
I would just say it started with the niche audience and the niche insight. So, got people sharing, got people telling their friends, and then it sort of grew from there. So I think that's when we sort of think about scale. You can't start with scale from our perspective. You want to really get into somebody's heart and mind, you need to start with how do you get into their heart and mind? How do you actually break through to those people that then can help to scale your message? And I think that tatted like a Chipotle bag is a really good example of that. Was it March 13th? Was their biggest sales day ever, and that was the day of the promotion.
I want to just say
their history.
That was a great back and forth there. I mean, Gino went and kind of, prod a little bit.
I'm just prodding.
And then these two handled it like a pro.
They did a good job. That's why you got to come on the live show. Trust the process.
Trust the process.
You guys look good right now. It's amazing.
But with that being said, I would like to leave the floor to Gino for his apology to Josh. Gino, take it away.
Josh and Day One Agency hosted a wonderful dinner, curated dinner. And it was with the Casey Lewis partnership or whatever they were doing, and she was there. She had her new booklet out, so there was like a collaboration of some sort. And I attended, and I sat next to Josh, and I talked his ear off for the whole entire dinner. Josh, I don't think you were able to talk to anybody else at your own event. It was just me talking to you, and you not doing much talking. And I just wanted to apologize for that. I could see how that would be an issue.
I enjoyed myself and the conversation, so no need to apologize. And you're definitely invited back to the next one.
That's really the big thing. Is if you can you imagine if
Can I sit next to you again, Josh? Is that okay?
100%.
Well, I got a lot of things to say. And get off
You know,
my
it's
mind.
like Larry David said, you do play a good middle, though, and we were in the middle of the table.
Yeah, we were. You gotta play the right. You gotta be in the middle. Josh, you have no idea what you just signed up for.
I'm gonna come with
that's
some
good.
bits and some prepared things on my mind, like a list. Like it's just a punch list of conversation topics.
I
for
like
us.
that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. The side projects work. I think I can envision a lot of other agencies maybe seeing this and drawing inspiration from it. So it felt important to get the word out and just get the people behind it, the agency behind it, talking about it. So appreciate you both coming on and explaining the new offering and what you're all up to. Thank you again, Josh and Jamie from Day One Agency.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Great to see you.
Crushed it.
I do always feel compelled to clap.
You gotta clap.
I do
They
feel
did a good job.
I imagine the
Did you see
audio
the?
experience.
Did you see
probably
the?
great.
Did you catch up the? Did you catch the?
Here we go.
The host magic on that when I brought up the Chipotle example, knowing they've worked on Chipotle, Jack.
That's what you call a leading question.
That's a
That is. How do you? I want to ask you this question, as a broadcaster to broadcaster.
Yes.
How do you balance that? A question where you want to give context, like, hey, heads up, they worked with Chipotle, so this question makes sense for me to ask it, versus trusting them to bring in the context and planting it.
You know, I have no clue, Jack. I just know that like that was a broader example of like, what if Chipotle just wanted to meet a mass audience and then allow them for the layup if they want to take it.
Right. Because post-game analysis, it was a good poke and prod.
Yeah, I didn't do it very well.
What do you mean?
I feel like I didn't do it very well. If I were to do it again, I would say like closer to that. Like, so we talked about identifying a niche audience and with editorial offering, but what about brands that do want mass reach, like Super Bowl? Like, how do we differentiate that?
I know.
When's the right time and place?
There was such a good. I feel like it was such a good answer to
It was good.
To say, yes, we got a ton of reach, but that was kind of a secondary positive. You know, because of course, like home run is that you do something that contributes to the cultural conversation or creates its own conversation, and then also gets massive reach and mass appeal.
Yeah.
As opposed to like getting that reach by latching on to someone else or just commenting on an already existing thing.
Yeah, it starts with like the human insight with the brand. Like they said, the brand truth and then the fan truth, and then where that meets in the middle. I thought that was good. I don't know how to do that, so that's why we just talk to these people.
Yeah, I'm a sideline. I'm a keyboard warrior.
Oh yeah.
In that regard, backseat advertiser.
Big time.
Big time.
Nutella did I think they did a post about when it was in outer space.
We'll also have to pull that up. I didn't see it. I know.
I think it was just said.
They did. They did.
What'd they say?
Ellie, any insight on that?
Nutella flies across.
Yeah, hold on. Let me.
Yeah.
Is this working?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Well, this is the post-game show, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you enjoyed the 2-minute drill. We're going to stick
on
around
Instagram.
here to just kind of like just chop it up a little bit. But we're live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. That's when we kick things off here. If you missed it, you're just tuning in now. We posted the full episode on our YouTube and our Spotify channels shortly after this, so you can watch the full thing. But subscribe to us on LinkedIn, turn on post notifications so you know when we go live every single time.
And then we got this poster. Ellie, what do we got?
There's actually 3 posts. So they posted the initial clip, and then they posted it again, and they said Nutella now enjoyed in space.
Mm-hmm.
And then they posted another one, which is really smart, where they have the lid as the moon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right, so if you know Nutella, I think Ross is going to try and pull it up, but if he can't, I'll try and describe it. The lid is
Go to
the moon.
Instagram.
If you know Nutella has the white lid on top, I think that's relatively iconic and recognizable. I think like you would get that right away.
Well, it has the branding on it, so even
Yeah.
if you didn't, you would know.
Okay, that's fair. But I guess do you guys see a lot of white lids these days?
I don't know.
Like I'm just trying to poke holes in it, of course. I think it's great, but I'm trying to poke holes in it. Could any brand obviously it's relevant because they showed up on the stream, but
I think that's the whole thing.
that's the only thing.
I think that's the only thing that matters.
I'm looking too deep into it.
No, I get what you're saying. My favorite thing about Nutella is, my favorite post ever is when they have a spoon or a knife. It's like before Nutella, and it's the same knife after Nutella. And it's just a clean knife because you lick it off.
Yeah.
I was just thinking now, like, what if there was like a toothbrush, like full of Nutella and one not with Nutella?
Oh, interesting.
You know what
Like
I'm
you had to
saying?
brush it out of your teeth?
Or like, no, because like it's space food. You know how they eat like toothpaste?
I think you are referring to the Jimmy Neutron space episode when the chubby kid eats toothpaste.
Carl?
Yes, Carl Weezer.
Carl.
That was the craziest niche.
Everybody knows that astronauts eat toothpaste.
No,
Isn't that like a thing?
No, that's just
Quincy?
from Jimmy Neutron.
Really?
It's just from Jimmy Neutron. Wow, there's gonna be like one person that's gonna see this.
But
and be
you
like,
know, I don't care about the mass audience and appealing to them right now. I want to talk to that one person.
What I would suggest to you is you go and create a piece of content that speaks to that and get people talking about your post.
Like a Nutella toothpaste for astronauts.
Nutella toothpaste is an interesting idea.
True.
April Fool's prank loading.
Yeah.
I saw, if you want to try and find my Twitter, Ross, Rob Schwartz and I, the CEO, former CEO, chairman of TBWA, Rob Schwartz, a mentor of ours, I would say, the godfather. Me and him were going back and forth on my Twitter about Moon Pie. So
What'd they do this time?
So Moon Pie did a post about them looking like they've done a campaign in the past. Moon Pie looks like the moon.
Yes, it's like
course.
yeah.
So they did the zoom in pictures and it looks like craters on the moon, but it's just the moon pies. I don't know if I contributed to this because I might have. Because Tombras is the social media agency for Moon Pie. Mm-hmm. I responded, or I tagged Moon Pie in a post where someone was talking about, maybe it was Rob Schwartz, about there needs to be more, who's going to step in, who's going to do a moon-related post or social media content, what brand is going to step in, and I tagged Moon Pie, like yesterday. Yeah, there it is.
What'd they say?
I tagged them yesterday, and then today they came out with last night they came out with the thing. So
Are you saying that you were the reason?
I think I may have been the reason that Moon Pie created this.
Wow.
I'm just connecting dots.
They have a good social team?
Dots.
Wow.
They have a great social team. We've seen the Tombra's social lab analytics. It's insane. I don't want to take credit. I'm not taking credit. I'm just
I'm
stating
calling
facts.
it out.
I'm
Like,
stating facts.
cause and effect.
Dots. I'm connecting dots.
Wow.
Cause and effect. Like,
Moon Pie.
I tagged them, said they would be great for this, then they did it. I would be genuinely shocked if they didn't have something lined up.
You think they just were waiting for somebody to comment?
I think they might have been like, Ross is nodding his head too. I think you wait for people to like.
Yeah. Are they getting a little traction on that? What they get they get some anything from it?
Yeah, their tweet popped off.
Did they quote tweet you?
Credit, hat tip, H/T to me? No. And I would never expect that. I'm not interested in the recognition. I would never call that out on a live show and say that was the one that.
No, you just did that, brother.
Anything else before we log off? Let people get on with their days. It's Wednesday. It's live show day. Tomorrow we're back at it, 11 a.m. Eastern time on LinkedIn, YouTube, and X.
Okay, production team.
No, you got it.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to go back to the KFC song.
Oh, yeah.
Because that reminded me a lot of when Frosted Flakes recently did this collab with JID and Tony the Tiger, where they put a song out on Spotify and released it for everybody to see, a little music video too. I think it's cool seeing brands enter the entertainment space as well.
On Spotify?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it'll move the needle? Like a Spotify song?
Maybe.
Doesn't
I think
hurt.
depending on the artist, they could gain that artist's audience and be like, oh, this is cool. They like that brand. And the JID apparently grew up on Frosted Flakes, so it's not just a random guy. It's like he likes the brand actually, so
No, it's a good play.
that plays into it a little bit.
It's kind of like with the movies when they bring in like a rapper or like an artist to like
Ice
make
Cube
a
and Friday.
soundtrack. Yeah, make a soundtrack for the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Spiderman movie.
And then sometimes and the movie goes away and like people still love the song.
Yeah,
and
like-
it almost loses the association of that movie.
Phil Collins did not need to go that hard on the Tarzan soundtrack.
I'm loving the Phil Collins content I'm getting fed on my TikTok.
Dude, the one video of Phil Collins in Business Casual.
Oh my gosh.
Doing the live concert is insane. Ellie, anything from you?
Yes, I have a comment for Gino.
Yes.
From our good friend Marcos. Says, at Gino Schellenberger eats toothpaste for fun. How do you respond?
I do not eat toothpaste for fun. I do not do that. I just want to put that out there. Marcos.
That's on the record.
Marcos.
I cannot believe
We'll talk
you said
about that.
I cannot believe that you said that. That astronauts eat toothpaste.
That's like a joke thing that everybody knows. They bring up toothpaste to
Carl
it.
Weezer knows. Wow, what a poll. Who would have thought Carl Weezer mentioned on the Breaking and Entering Live show? That's the show. Appreciate everyone. We're back tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your days. And see you at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, LinkedIn, or X. Follow us at Breaking and Entering Media.
All right. Good show today, everybody.